Hey, it's your girl Andrea. Welcome to my channel if you're new. If you have been here for a while, thanks for coming back once again. And we are going to do a updated barn tour, do kind of like a behind the scenes showing you what it looked like to actually build the barn, the timeline, all of that jazz. So without further ado, let's have fun doing this. So this is a 304 by 62 foot Accu-Steel building. It was put up, started building in the summer of 2022. Spring calving 2023 was our first year in the barn, followed by this year being year number 2. They're gonna talk, this is why we have a microphone. There's something exciting going on out here. In this lovely area, this is the start of gates happening right now. Yesterday, dug holes, put concrete in. Whole bunch of them. So this is a whole pen where I'm standing. And there's another one, another one, another one, another one. The bunks will line up right here. There'll be I-beams right there, feed alley here, pens over there, working facility here, more pens over there. That's how the whole lovely thing is going to work. And there'll be a slab of concrete here. You'll drive on to feed. Bunks will be right about here. Cattle will be right inside the building right here. Our beams going in today. Trenching so we can do water lines and power lines. I got all the I-beams in the ground with concrete. Level as could be, straight in a line. They have a really important job right here.
Yeah.
Holding the end.
Anchor.
Yep. Wondering how it's going. It's rustled a tile line to put a fountain there. It's great. Soaked. Okay, it was clean up until that point. Now my shoes are full of clay water, soggy. But tile line is in for a water fountain along with power lines strung through. That is covered. Now we just gotta do the rest of this, which is not as bad because there's nothing really like delicate under the surface. So, and the water lines are pretty much buried. Got footings done, a whole bunch of dirt work, and they started laying to pour concrete over there. Betcha this is what they're doing this week. More concrete. Call us plumbers now. So that was the timeline of what the build looked like, what it, the timing took. The barn itself is 6 pens. Each pen is about the same size except for this very first pen up here. This is pen 1. This is where we have our chute, you can see, our working facilities, and there is this kind of whole 1.5 extra bunks. So we use this pen for a variety of approaches, which we'll get into. So the front part here, we have a concrete slab that we drive on to feed, and then we all have J bunks. Then there is a concrete alleyway all the way down here where the cows eat. We scrape this alleyway about 2 to 3 times a week, depending upon the weather. If it's dry and windy, it stays dry. If you get rain, it gets nice and wet. And then each of the areas with the water fountain have a concrete pad. The rest of the barn is a bed pack on top of clay. So we do have to clean that out a handful of times a year. And currently we have 2 let of bales after a very excessive wet spring that we are not able to use our bale processor. They're just not feeding through there. It's a mess. It gets jammed, not even jammed, but it gets hung up with wet corn stalks. So we are actually old-fashioned bedding right now with the skid loader, dumping the bales in and then letting the cows kind of spread out themselves. And it's working fine.
Normally we would be bedding the barn about every other day with 2-3 bales, generally 2, depending on the weather. Obviously humidity plays into that. Just driving by with a bale processor, we have a top gun from Highline that throws the bedding. I'll put a clip in here so you can actually see what it looks like. It works really handy. That is one piece of equipment that you do have to have if you are planning to do a barn like this, as well as a grapple on a skid steer or some sort of other similar piece of equipment to clean out your bed pack, because bed pack, you need that. It doesn't work with just a bucket. You would take forever doing that. This is the grapple bucket that we have for our skid loader. So I know those are 2 questions we're going to get of what's required with that. But let me show you some more of the building here. So you can see this is the front alleyway. Concrete, we scraped it yesterday, so it is quite clean right now, which is good. And then there's the bed pack. So there is 6 pens in here, like I mentioned. We fit about 23 to 24 pairs per pen is what we like to do, giving them enough room. And really it's based more on bunk space and then space to allow the calves, newborn calves during calving season, to get away from moms, not get stepped on, that type of situation. But with breeding season, we do have numerous pens put together right now. Pen 1 is by themselves with a cleanup bowl. Those were our later calving cows. We moved our bottle babies after 10 sets of twins this year into that pen. Just younger cows were watching, with a bowl that we pulled from our heifers. And then pens 2, 3, and 4 are together with a cleanup bowl after I did my AI, and then 5 and 6 are together. So normally they would be split up, but you'll see here when I walk in what the gates look like when you combine pens. There's lots of gating in the barn that makes it really handy for sorting. Weaning calves is really easy. Like sorting cattle is the easiest it's ever been in this barn, which is one thing that's a benefit. But just want to give a little bit of a background there of why there's pens together, and then I can show you what the gates look like. We do have a concrete pad right off the west side of the barn as well, where we can store some manure. Not even necessarily store manure, but have somewhere to scrape. Good ground during mud season. We'll put bales here, park equipment if we need to, and have this extra space. As far as this being a cow-calf confinement barn goes, we do have some pasture, and I'll make another video of why we decided to build a barn like this, but all the cows in the barn currently stay in the barn pretty much year round. We'll talk about that a little bit. The rest of the cows that we have go to pasture for the summer months. So we'll get into more of the, like I said, why we built the barn in a separate video, so I can go in detail about some things. But the timeline of it is that the cows come in here kind of like mid-January or so, early February, when we start to get closer to calving. Even sometimes we don't kick them in all the way then, but that's the time frame that we clean the barn out and get ready for calving, and then move the cows in. The cows stay in, besides the ones that go to pasture, all the way to weaning. Once we chop silage and start getting corn taken out here, we kick the cows out on corn stalks to get exercise, eat some corn stubble, etc. And we wean calves in the barn. It works really, really, really well. And if you go back to some of my previous videos, you can see that. It's a very handy barn for that. These are the gates that we had a crew out of Kansas build for us. So it's just a nice little easy latch. Would be really handy if you ever wanted to have horses in here. You pull it up, and then there is chains around everything in case you have cattle that like to play with this. But so far, knock on wood, we haven't had any issues there. And then this is the bed pack. Like I said, right now we are just jumping bales in. It's kind of not the prettiest situation. And these cows like to congregate in one pen when they're grouped together. So this pen stays really nice, to be honest. We will probably clean it out in the next little while just because of the lack of bale processor currently. But you can see there's the gate that normally you would shut. This is pen 6, that is pen 5. So you can shut that, leave it open type of thing. And then there is this custom gate that crew put up over the water fountain. So you can actually open that. You can shove a calf through really easy. You can access the water fountain to clean it. This right here in this space is concrete. So you pretty much get to like this post here. You get a nice little square that also goes to that post. And then this is all bed pack on clay. No concrete underneath any of this. So then this gate is one that would divide these two pens. So you would just unhook, push it, and then there's a piece right there where it would hook into. That's how you would divide pen 6 and 5. We did have them put some good edges on here. That way you're not breaking concrete, just some steel corner pieces. You know, skid loader damage gets done. So there's your gates, what the welds look like. They spin around And then when you actually do divide 2 pens off, you have 2 gates that sit here. And this works incredibly well to squeeze a calf between, hide between if you're tagging. I have actually spent a lot of time between 2 gates, tagging calves, treating a calf quick, anything like that. Even cows, we've done it before. We had a cow that was breathing heavily. We gave her some Dex right after she had calved. It was a weird thing, and some antibiotics. And instead of running her all the way up to the chute, we can put her between 2 gates. Very calm cow. Works really well. And this is the same all the way through. So you can kind of see that concrete right there where you have your edge. So we do clean off the concrete by the water fountain every so often when we scrape as well, because the drier you can keep that, the drier the entire bed pack stays. Then if we look at our bunk system, this is something that the gate crew also did. These are adjustable, so you can slide these up or down. We leave them low for the most part anytime we have calves that try to kind of crawl through the bunk. Once there's cows only in here, we actually pop these up so the cows have more room to eat, but it's really easy. You just pop this up. There's an example here. Pop it up, pull your pipe out, and you can slide one side at a time all by yourself. This is how all of these gates hook, easy peasy. And these are all the I-beams in line with the concrete, so you don't actually hit these. They did a really good job of that. We were nervous driving, just automatic response. If you scrape right along this little concrete edge, you don't hit the I-beams. So fun little tidbit. So we have a Accusteel older hoop barn across the yard that we used to start bottle calves in back in the day when Holsteins were a thing. That entire section of barn is just one piece of the fabric, right? So if the barn happens to go in a storm, derecho type thing, the entire barn is gonna be gone. This one, it would just be a section in between the rafters. Here's all our mamas. Calves are March babies for the most part, so they're starting to grow like weeds. But you have the same thing all the way down. And if you want to, if we have, usually when we wean, we have a pen of cows that stay in the barn to gain some weight, or just, watch them if they have a sore foot or if they're a little bit spicy. We leave them in so they're not roaming corn stalks. You can actually adjust individual sections. So if you have a pen of cows, we could have one pen with a bunk rail high and the rest of it could be calves. Easy peasy. But this is what it looks like when you have 2 gates both hooked, gating off a pen. So as you can see, if I open this a little bit, I have a nice little area that I can squeeze behind with a calf. And you actually can even hook this chain like this. I can catch a calf quick, and if I have to run and go get some meds to give him a shot or something, or whatever's going on, he actually can't get out of here once they're big enough. It works really, really, really well just to kind of squeeze them, do the things that you have to do. As far as the structure goes for calving, this is pen 5 and 6 is on the other side. They're together currently. We put a calving pen in pen 5 and in pen 1 way up front where we calve heifers. Pen 5 is our spicy pen most of the time, so this cow right here is throwing a fit at me. We bought some West River cattle when we expanded, and some of them are still not a fan of us. So now they're with some really tame cows and they're calming down, but the calving pen works really well. The calves naturally want to sit in there, so they're really easy to catch. And then you have another area to get out of the way if you have a mom that's not super happy, like 18 is here currently. Also, the gates are really easy to climb, and I've launched myself over them numerous times, as well as launching myself over this back wall. Back wall, there is a curtain that you can drop all the way down, and this is pretty much all the way open here. In the summer, it stays open. If it's gonna storm, you leave it open. That way the air movement can come through. We want proper ventilation, all of that jazz. We do have pipe fence put up, or just one layer of pipe along the entire barn section all the way here, just to keep them, so if they want to try to jump it, they really shouldn't, on a normal day, but this also deters them. It's also really easy to stand on this back wall during AI season to watch for cow heats. Fun little tidbit. As you can see, that's where the bales were. We kind of moved spots and then they spread it out more and more as time goes on. It's not really a perfect system currently with how the 15 inches of rain in 5 days and excessive moisture outside of that go, but we're making it work. Then we have creep pens outside. So I believe we were the first people on an Accu-Steel build to do creep pens outside of the barn. So when we came to the idea with them, they were like, not sure what it's gonna look like. So let me show you. They didn't pour concrete in a couple sections. We had it planned, so there's one section every 2 pens that we can open up once we get past winter, you know, crappy weather to let the calves out. So we just put plywood over top of this, and then it covers enough with the curtain when it comes all the way down, because it comes and sits here, that the snow doesn't come in, they can't get out type of thing. And then this is just a nice little pipe thing that my dad built to put in here. This is where we have the plywood go through, sitting there. So there's that tab, easy peasy. And then we just put in a nice little hitch pin. So if a cow would happen to want to, you know, try to get stuck here, because cows, they don't ever do anything dumb, right? We can pop it out really quick if we need to, pop it up and out of this little coupler that's on there, and hopefully get her out, no issue. So that's the crate pen gates, it's easy peasy. Also come in really handy for weaning, because you can just push the calves out easy and they naturally hang out here. This is the control for the curtain. So it's just really easy. You just pop this down and she'll drop. Works really well. The winter we keep it nice and closed. We have a pipe that came apart right there. We'll have to fix that. And then we have this now is open. So pens 2 through 6. The calves can go in any pen, and they've, you know, found their way back and forth to their original pen. But we have it combined because we did add hay this year as well. So this was the gate that was dividing the pens originally to make sure they could figure out how to get back to mom. Now they're all open. So then we have our freestanding panels out here. We use these normally to make our alleyway to move cattle around, but in the summer months we use them for our crate pen. We've got some crate feeders sitting in here. We picked up this lovely thing cheap from a local auction and did some fixing on it so the calves can eat some hay, munch on things, because at this point they are really wanting to be in the bunk. So if they can come eat out here and hang out here, eat crate feed, helps them grow, gets their tummy going. We did have to build a cage around this to make sure the calves weren't eating any of it, because they tried to eat that last year. So this is all concrete. We are going to concrete this next section up here because it's kind of a soupy hole right now, and this does work really well. In the non-calf out here season, we actually park a lot of equipment in here, set bales on here, bale processor, because then you're on concrete, you're out of the mud. It's just really easy if you need to work on stuff. So that's one thing. And then we also have the potential, we're gonna concrete the rest of this over here, that this could be a big holding pen if needed. This pen is by themselves. Yeah, this is the outside area for pen 1 way up front, and then this is, like I said, 2 through 6 all together. Trying to make sure I show you everything because it's really easy to forget a little detail. So if I do, we'll just have to make sure we answer it in another video. And fun fact, humans fit through this. So this is the other pen where they had fresh bales, looking really good. They spread it out pretty well. You get a little bit of a hump in the middle, but by the time they eat more of it, because we all know cows like to eat corn stalks, she goes back down and stays nice and dry. I'm glad that it got so wet after all the calves were old enough now they can handle this. And I will do comparison of weaning weights of grass calves and barn calves as well this fall. So then we get into pen 1. This is also the pen where we have our chute. When they did our gating system, hello bottle baby, they did a bud box with these gates. So this comes over to support, and then we have a flat gate with just one gate here, and then this one unfolds to make a bud box that you can kind of adjust as needed. The whole goal in mind of when they designed it was to bring cows around the front into the bud box and then through the chute. I don't love that because straight up, I would be moving my stuff every 6 head, because that's about how many cows you end up squishing in here. And I have to get out of the way, and there's stuff up there, the cows are just kind of getting confused. When I breed cows, I bring them around the front because it's usually a smaller group, but if we're working the entire group, we bring them into this pen, we use this gate and that gate, and we usually bring in one more like panel type thing, set up, and we feed the cattle around through the back as if it was a regular, you know, like tub chute type situation. You can watch any of my videos or see future ones this fall as we process cattle. It works way better. Our cattle were used to a tub chute anyways, and it works really, really, really well. So as you can see, this is where that is like a second level gate. Also comes in really handy. We put a calving pen right over here, and then we can set up numerous pens with this gate, that gate, and a couple like lightweight panels that we purchased from Runnings Farm Store. So if we were setting up to work, this gate would be sitting here, and they'd come through right here. We would have this shut so it can catch here if you wanted, but I don't like that because they can look outside a whole bunch. But you can also bring cattle in through here really easy. So if I shut this here, So you bring cattle in, they'd come in here if this gate was open, down the alleyway along the wall, and then their only option is to go down the chute, good to go. And once they've done it, like cows come through here like a dream. Calves take a little bit of training sometimes, but once they come back in at actual weaning, they work really well. And then we do have a side alley here where you can run down, move cows up if you need to. We've put bottle calves in here before. You can hide stuff in here, type of thing. Climb over the gates, get away from the calving pen. And then our gate guy built this as well. You can see, originally this was sitting in this track and that one was there and it was a V shape. Well, we have some very fat pregnant cows that were getting stuck. So we actually popped it up and out. So now you can adjust the top still. You can pop this down and then these actually kind of V this way instead if you need to for calves. We generally don't have a lot of issues of calves turning around too bad in here every once in a while with it being so wide, but not terrible. I'd rather have to go get a calf back than have a cow get stuck again because that's not fun. So that's what the alleyway looks like. This was our tent-sided twins. Someone thinks he needs a bottle. Originally, if we would use this the way that it was designed, the cows would come around the front here and then you would push this gate with them and then they'd come back through. Like I said, I don't hate that design. It just is a hassle because if I'm set up right here and my stuff's here, all it takes is one cow trying to knock all your stuff over. So when I'm on this side controlling everything, doing my job, I don't want to move, get out of the way every 2 seconds, and then we'd have to be like adjusting gates. It just works a lot better through the back, which you'll see in fall videos if you want to see that. We do have an AeroQuip 107 series hydraulic chute. This was a new purchase upgrade with the barn as well. I absolutely love this thing. Cannot say anything bad about it, to be honest. She's quiet, she works really well. We have our pump in the office here, and then also our fencer once we have cows out on corn stalks. That's why that's there. So all of our hydraulic hoses run through this piping, go in, and our pump's inside. Real quiet, you don't hear it. It'll warm it up a little bit in there, but not terrible. So this thing is a dream. I love it. It's my favorite. Obviously, I went from a manual tub chute to this, so it's a big upgrade, but I've run quite a few hydraulic chutes in my days, and this is by far my favorite of all of them. It's just super user-friendly, very quiet, and it's done a really great job for us. So then we have this gate. Kind of gotta play with it. They didn't line up as good as they wanted it to be, and I'd rather have the head gate shut so nobody's trying to push their way in. And then you can sort, you know, down the alleyway if you want. Kick cows that way when they come out of the chute. We can kick them out, just set up a couple panels out to the cornfield after preg check in the fall, and that's where they hang out. So that's the front working area. Once again, got all the gates, same panels. Like I said, this pen has got the extra bunk and a half space here. This whole section is extra, so we do use this for heifers. All of our bottle calves are currently in here. We pulled them out of our old hoop barn and moved them up here so they can eat creep feed, eat TMR a little bit, and get used to life with other calves around. So there's more calves than cows in here now. And anybody that's got a kind of a sore leg, anybody we're watching, the later calvers we had up here, but our big thing is that we have heifers up here, so that way if you need to help them, one, we could have put a calving pen right there, but everything is here super easy. So that works really, really, really well for us. We calve heifers first, mid-February around Valentine's Day. We sleep in the office, which I'll show you here in a minute, and can watch everybody. Hey girls, you might notice all the different colored tags. They just correspond to where the cows came from. Yellow tags are that group of West River cows we purchased. Orange tags are also South Dakota cattle but came through a sale barn. Red tags are the OG original cows, I like to call them, that are my parents' herd. There's one blue tag in here. The rest of my cows are on pasture. The blue tags are mine and my husband's. So you can see that edge of the concrete. That's about how big that little platform is, just so they can stand on concrete, and then we can scrape this because when it's hot, they sit here, they drink, they make a mess. And then we did add, my dad ordered some of these off of Amazon just to have the cows they could scratch on. We're trying to find some, you know, street sweepers, but obviously they're starting to get some wear and tear on them. But this was a new addition since my previous barn tour video. They were pretty cheap and just added them in there and they work really well. They love them to itch on. But the cows are pretty content, happy campers hanging out. As I mentioned, we calve around Valentine's Day with heifers, and then towards the end of February, early March, that's when all the cows kind of get going. We have some cows that I bred, because this was our first year, we did implement artificial insemination, did some AIing with the herd for the first time ever. Phenomenally easy. being in the barn, I will say that. We used to calve more towards like April-ish. We actually moved it up with the barn because we are in a barn setting in the lovely Minnesota winter months. Otherwise we run an open lot with a small shed and it just isn't ideal. So we moved that up. I like it a lot. It's going pretty well, especially with selling fat cattle. The timeline, really enjoying that. The cows eat ground hay, ground corn stalks, corn silage, modified distillers, and a breeder mineral blend year-round since they are not on green grass to make sure they get enough of that vitamin A. We do give them a vitamin A/D injectable in the fall every year just because they aren't on grass, and we tested some levels and had some weird stuff going on that we do that. We used to feed syrup. We were having some issues with calves, so we no longer feed syrup to our cows. We still feed it in the feedlot, but this is an old garage we had across the yard that we just moved the frame and then pretty much used the bones of it and redid the outside tin roof, etc., insulated it and made it our office. So it's really easy to get access to here. You can watch cows from right there, creep on them. We do have cameras in every single pen as well. So it's really like stalking cows 101 here. Then you come in and Mom's in here hanging out. Hello, Mom. This is the office. So you have a door that goes straight to the barn, and then we have a door on the north end that you can come into if you're not coming from the barn. So that's the gate that goes into the working area, bud box situation. We have a fridge for meds. We have a bathroom. What more could you need? A nice floor drain in here. Hot water if we need it to mix bottles. This is the pump for the chute. All the storage, all the things in here. And then obviously fridge for meds. All of the stuff. And then we have a bed because Mom and I live out here during calving season and it's super exciting. So I bought some cheap cabinets from Menards, put them in, give ourselves a countertop, all the AI stuff. This is constantly full of whatever's going on, whether it's tagging supplies or breeding supplies. Notes on the board, keeping track of stuff, all the storage you would ever need. Then we have table, couch, TV, you can watch Netflix, all the good setup is in here. Mom and I stay out here like, she did 5 nights a week and then I did 2 nights a week. It's like a dream because we have a heater in here, there's an air conditioner now. Oven, you can make pizzas, you can do whatever you want, fridge, freezer, microwave, pretty much set for life out here. So I will say this, my dad didn't want to put an office back here. And now Healy's like, you can't find him and he's not in the shop office anymore, he's in this office. So if you put up a barn, put an office on it, you will thank yourself, especially when the weather is not fun or you're waiting on a heifer to calve. We've sat here just like waiting, twiddling our thumbs, but it's better than sitting in a vehicle or sitting out cold where you're comfortable type of thing and can watch them with the cameras. This is the door if we're gonna run pairs in, cows in, cattle of any sort from any of the pens up here. So right now, for example, our 2025, well, prospective, 2025 is scary to say, replacement heifers, we're gonna project them this next week. We'll set up our equipment alleyway since our gates are being used and run them into this door to use the chute to preg check, and then we can sort and do whatever we need to do there. But next on the agenda is pouring concrete in this area. That way it's not a mud hole and then it's another holding pen. More space for the calves, park stuff on concrete if we have another really wet year. So we're kind of in the process of all this tin was sitting there, getting that to dry up, leveling the ground. We'll pour concrete probably in the next month or so, I would think. But that's where we run cattle in. Also can run them into the other side. Your curtains there. We got lights, every pen, different options to kind of hook up and mess with. There's our bale processor that's parked currently. As I said, we can't use it. So normally we would use that, but this year just we need to store our bales inside, which we're going to do in the hoop barn. We're learning essentially is what's happening. So here's the other side of the office. We do have a window here so you can like watch cows if we're trying to creep them in. Both ends of the barn as well on the alleyway where they kind of stand to eat and you can scrape has a curtain. The curtain pretty much stays open besides in the winter or if we're gonna get a bunch of rain that's gonna come from a certain direction. Sometimes we'll close it. Not necessarily like a storm, but if you're gonna get all day rain and it's gonna come with some wind, we'll shut them because it helps keep some of the moisture out. And then we did put up panels here because if the calves get out and this is a cornfield, hello, I don't wanna lose any calves in the cornfield. Plus we use this as part of our pen for the cows that are out on corn stalks in the fall. And if all the cows don't fit in the barn, so this is about 150 head that fit in here. The rest of them are obviously on pasture currently, but in the winter, if we're gonna have a blizzard, they don't all fit in here. We have shoved them in before if it's gonna get really nasty, but we shut a gate down here and then we'll shut this gate and we can lock cows on both sides and keep them out of the field so they're not running around trying to, all of a sudden losing track of where the fence is. We also can catch them in really easy. They'll follow the feeder wagon to move them into the barn to work them or move them in for calving season. So we'll have our like slinkies and stuff and set that all up here. But that's another handy thing. It's another catch pen. You can put a pair out here to eat the grass. The one thing Dad said we would do different, two things I guess, is just more concrete. Make this alleyway wider than it is. I don't know what it technically is. We would add another couple of feet to that just because the duals on the tractor to bale process and haul manure are off of that, and when it's wet and muddy you make a nice trench. And then he would add more concrete on the west end just for storage, and then it gets greasy back over there, you know, during the wet months. There's also these dividers that we have to put in between each pen to divide the bunks if a calf happens to get into the bunk when they're young, so that way, you know, you don't have a week-old or 2-day-old calf get shoved in the bunk and going all the way down and then crawling back in, and they're not ending up in the wrong pen. So we took them out now, so you don't have to worry about it with feeding. You can just drive and you don't have to worry about lifting the door or anything like that as you're unloading TMR. As always, I think I covered everything. We'll do another video of the why we built the barn, some of the decisions that went into that. But if you have any questions, let me know. I am sure I probably missed something because you just forget to mention some details, and I'm in it every day, so it's kind of just common knowledge to me. But like I said, if I missed anything, you have any more questions that maybe I didn't answer or didn't go in depth for, let me know, and I can definitely make another video or reply to your comment. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll show you more of the barn, and we'll see you next time.